Hello, welcome to another Real Raw Moment, and tonight is about your experiences, no matter what they are valid in parental alienation and in life. So let's begin. So I'm going to start off my video reminding everybody these are my Real Raw Moments. These are my emotions, my thoughts, and my feelings. They are my lived experiences in parental alienation and in life. And they are not meant to be a substitute for legal or psychological counsel or advice. Let's begin. Now we got that out of the way. Okay. So let's talk about what a lived experience is versus a learned experience. Okay. Lived experience, learned experience. Sounds like it's probably pretty straightforward, but let's just make sure we're all on the same page. So as always, I have my other screen here. I'm just going to read a definition. Lived experiences are those that can be attained only by having a particular identity or group of identities or having gone through something. Learned experiences are those that can be acquired through practice, opportunity, and exposure. So lived experience, you lived through it. Learned experience, you've sought after it, so to speak, okay? Today we're going to talk about lived experiences. Now, this is a phrase you may have heard before, you may not have heard before. But I want to talk about it because, as always, these videos are always triggered or brought about by something that I've run into either in the past in PA, currently in PA, and this is one of them, where an experience that I've had due to PA, due to high conflict divorce, was invalidated by somebody because it did not match anything they'd read in any study. I'm going to loosely say this, any study. Okay. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about studies versus your lived experiences. There wouldn't be acceptance of PA in the court system, in the academic community, if there weren't studies, if there weren't experts like Burnett and Baker, Amy Baker, William Burnett, who created the 5-factor model, which states the 5-factor model of what parental alienation is, what the criteria for an alienated child is. And then it goes on to, there's a whole bunch of 17 or 18 more criteria after that. But the 5-factor model is considered to be kind of the, I'm just pulling it up here, the basis for understanding parental alienation. William Burnett's been around for a long time. He's an OG in PA. And the 5-factor model, I'm just pulling it up here, is, that's how you know these are all real and not edited. I had it here and now I'm scrolling past it madly. All right, the 5-factor model is a method for diagnosing PA by understanding and identifying the components of this mental condition. Okay, it's the following criteria. There's 5 factors. I'm not going to get into them here. The point being, studies like this, criteria like this, is what helps professionals help us in PA. It helps us also in PA when we can read these things and go, no, I can see myself in this. But are studies the only benchmark? There we go. Only benchmark of PA. And no, I don't believe that they are, because PA is such a personalized experience, both for the targeted parent and for the targeted children, alienated children, that while outlines and studies are great, they can't possibly capture the scope of what alienated and targeted parents feel. Whether those parents are fully alienated, cut off, haven't seen their children for months, weeks, years. Partially alienated, meaning they see their children still, but alienation is in the works and is this tug of war back and forth. There's even alienation within marriages. Believe it or not, sad but true. So my heart is always, when I do these videos, is to speak very candidly and to speak accurately. I don't jump into these videos to say like, hey, this is me. Listen to what I have to say because I'm right. I do them because I believe I'm not the only person who's experiencing whatever I'm feeling in PA and in life in general. So I do take the risk of doing them. I don't, I measure whether or not I should, and then I do a lot of the time. And I generally get a lot of, good feedback. Not always, there's haters gonna hate. And in this case, actually, it kind of applies too. So I did a video a little while ago that was I thought a long time about it. Actually, almost as long as I've thought about doing this one, addressing it. And it was about an emotion that I was chronically feeling due to high conflict divorce in PA. And I'll be very clear when I say this. This emotion is very real. To me, it is my lived experience on repeat. And I expressed it because I know I'm not the only one. I've talked to other people who have felt this way. So I went ahead and did it. I was fairly quickly addressed publicly by someone who said that the emotion I'm feeling had not been described in any sort of study that they had ever read regarding parental alienation, and therefore it wasn't valid. In fact, it went on so far to state that my emotion was due to a severe mental condition. Isn't that fun? And it really took me aback because this person was challenging my lived experience. Yes, I understand that perhaps the way I expressed this emotion and these experiences around this emotion and how I dealt with this emotion and the experiences around, I understand that they're not written the way that I've experienced in any one study. I'm not surprised because this is Natalie's experience. And what is lived experience? It's based on not only the current experience, it is based on your entire makeup of your entire life. Your childhood, your trauma, your PTSD if you have it, your good experiences, your bad experiences, your ongoing psychological traumas. I mean, there's a myriad of things. We're humans. We are so freaking complex that, of course, there's not going to be any one description that says, well, Natalie experienced, there we go. I can footnote that with this study. And so I wanted to talk about that today because your lived experience in PA is entirely valid, it is very real, and it is yours. And the PSA I want to say here is I don't want anyone to feel that if it doesn't slot into some study or what some expert has said, you should, I hate the word should, feel like, or how you should have reacted if you had this happen. And when I say this, I mean if you had this happen in PA, that happened in PA, this happened in court, that happened in court. There's no one path. Even like using the 5-factor model is amazing, but it's just the beginning when you're within the realm of PA. And it doesn't say Joe or Harry or Chantel's or Julia's experience, lived experience, their perception is invalid because it's not stated that way clearly in a document, in a study. So I want to encourage you to think about your lived experiences, especially, two areas. One, just when you're thinking about your life, and people may invalidate your experience. Look, friends will try to invalidate it. Now, friends don't really know, so they're not doing it on purpose. It's just, well, how could you feel that way? Well, that's not that big a deal. Well, I think you're overreacting. Those are actually challenges against your lived experience in life, in anything, and in PA. And we have to have grace with those people because they don't know. They're not experiencing it. And if they don't have the emotional maturity to try and empathize or whatever, then we just let that go. And that's okay. Again, your lived experience is your lived experience. It is your storyline. It is your timeline. Oh, pardon me. Still getting over the flu. As you move forward, if you're in mediation in the court system, and again, these are my perceptions and my lived experiences talking about your lived experiences. Convoluted as that. Stay strong in your lived experiences. Please don't let people diminish them. Please don't let people try to slot your experience into 1, 2, or 3 things. And look, again, we have to cram ourselves into some molds when it comes to court because there has to be some structure. So do we need to use things like the 5-factor model and other experts' research and testimony to help us? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not disparaging that or saying that that's not the case. That is a reality. And it's a great boon to anybody who's experiencing PA to not be just shooting in the dark and have to say, well, hey, here's this thing, and I'm experiencing these things, and here's the how and the why. Here's my lived experience of these 5 factors or these 18 different alienating behaviors. That's valid. And if in those 18 alienating behaviors, I'm just throwing a number out there, you have something that doesn't fit in those 18 behaviors, your experience, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's your experience. You know, when it comes to the internet, we don't tend to be kind enough to people when they talk about their lived experiences. I've seen it, we've all seen it with the internet, but I've seen it in PA on sites. So this is my final little PSA. If you're still watching this, you're still with me and you're not, writing stuff down below. And if you are, I actually welcome you to, because I'm happy to talk about this and debate it and see what other people are saying. Remember that when people are posting, when they're being vulnerable, they are posting their lived experience. And it may not match your lived experience. In fact, it could be so opposite that you get offended by their lived experience. And that's okay. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to not agree. It's okay to not even understand. But what I encourage you to do is to have empathy. To understand that just because you understand someone's lived experience, it doesn't invalidate it. What it hopefully will do, if we're open to the world, is it will inform us. We can learn from other people's lived experiences. It can open our eyes. It can open our horizons. And certainly within PA, when we can start to understand and respect other people's lived experiences, even if we don't necessarily agree with how it's come about, that's where we can become an unstoppable force in PA. That's where we can stand together in linked arms, respecting our lived experiences, respecting each other, holding each other up, and understanding that we don't all fit into some study or any study. And there needs to be more studies. I think that's kind of the point too, is that let's get more studies out there that address kind of the complexities, the complexities of being a targeted parent and the emotions and the psychological abuse that happens to children, but also happens to targeted and alienated parents. You are valid. You are worthy. Your lived experiences matter, and they are yours. And please don't let anybody take those away from you, because you are a warrior within those lived experiences. And when you share them, when you are willing to be vulnerable and open to the world, others can learn from you. And what I hope is that we go for everybody into a learning mode and not into a hate speech mode because you don't understand or you don't like someone else's lived experience or the way that they are expressing how they experienced it. Okay. Now for bonus points, if you go back, there's a number of times I said experience in here that I could probably do a bingo on. Just lightening up the mood here a little bit at the end, because I did go on with the word experience. So my hope for you is that you don't experience what I did, which is being invalidated in your lived experience when you share it, and know that your emotions are entirely valid. Hang on to them. Yes, use studies, read studies, embrace studies, use them as a template, as an overlay for your lived experiences, and go forward from there in conquering your parental alienation. Comments? Talk below.